Stocks opened in the red today. At one point this morning, our accounts were down more than $5 million. Jay Powell testifying to Congress right now, which seems to be easing some of the nerves in the market. Indexes are coming back a little bit, but a lot of our stocks are still down big. We have the EV stocks, Tesla down more than 5%, NEO down almost 8%, CCIV down more than 30%. We have the cruisers are down, the techs are down. Pretty much everything right now is down. Even this techs, like Amazon is down almost 2%. Apple is down more than 2%. So over the weekend, Michael Burry, the big short guy, warned us that the stock market is dancing on a knife's edge and that the extreme speculation and debt could cause a crash. He said that the warnings are being ignored the same way they were during the housing bubble. And it's not just the stock market. The crypto markets lost $200 billion in the last 24 hours. Bitcoin dropping below $45,000 earlier. Below $45,000. That seems like such a memory. Today on Dumb Money, our thoughts on the market and what we're doing in our portfolios. We are Dumb Money.
Three friends who turned $30,000 into $30 million using nothing more than Twitter and a zero commission trading account.
The suits that work on Wall Street, they call those people the smart money. That's not us.
Our goal is to help level the playing field for everyday investors.
We are Dumb Money.
Hey there, Dave here along with Chris and Jordan. We are Dumb Money, and there is one surefire way to get this market headed back in the right direction. That, of course, is smashing the like button. It is our best leading economic indicator, at least as far as how many people are going to see this video. Chris, Jordan, have you smashed it yet?
I just smashed.
I just smashed, man. I got so much to say today, dude.
I know.
I know
so
much. But before we get started, Dave, I think I really do want to say something before we say a single word. I got a little bit of heat yesterday when I sold out of my CCIV. I ended up selling about 3/4 of my position. Initially, it was 2/3. Actually, I'm like almost 5/6 out right now. But I got a little bit of heat.
That's a lot of complicated fractions.
Yes. Well,
I don't even know
someone
what's
said
more, 5/6 or 3/4. I can't do that in my head.
I don't know. Quarter pounder or half pounder?
Listen, this is such a big storyline. We've been talking about CCIV. So like the second I sold it, I basically went on Discord first. I said, hey guys, I just sold 2/3. Here's why. Even before I sold it, I think I put something on about CCIV reaching information parity. But then I went on Twitter and I was like, hey, I made $500,000 for the pediatric foundation, right? Like how awesome is that off CCIV? Not even realizing how hard it was falling as I was saying that.
Yeah.
Someone got mad because they're like, well, why did you tell us before you sell? Let me make something very clear. If you have not watched this channel before, not only are we not financial advisors and we warn you, do not do what we do. We don't give away stock picks. We don't know your risk tolerance. We are not like selling stuff. Dude, this channel is not about us telling you what to do. Don't even think for a second you're gonna copy our trades and we're just gonna like announce to you what to do before we do it. This show is about what we're doing. This is a little peer inside of our world so that we can collaborate and share our ideas with you, share with you our journey as investors, as regular investors, what they call dumb money. That's us, right? Like we're gonna share, we've always shared our journey with you, but it's not, hey, buy this stock, sell this stock. We're never telling you to buy or sell a stock, ever. In fact, we're telling you the exact opposite. Do not do anything we do. This is just us sharing with you. So I will never, ever, ever be like, guys, sell this stock before I sell it. Or like, dude, I'll tell you when I do something selectively when I think it's interesting and there's a learning moment there, right?
Now,
and
Chris,
there's an education moment. But like,
tell me
we're
if
not
you've done
one of those channels.
You know, we don't have anything to sell. No, we are purely for information and entertainment and education, and we're trying to help people think the way we do, right? It's not about which stocks we're actually buying and selling. It's which way we think, right? And so.
But by the way, we don't really talk about micro caps because we don't want to come off as pumpers, because like we could move a micro cap on this channel, right? And I think that the micro cap, when we covered Covard, what is it, Charles and Covard, we did move that stock. So when I saw that happened, I was like, literally, I am not selling this thing until well after earnings. I'm not going to be seen as a pump and dumper here on my community. Hell no, right? So I still own 100% of that Charles and Covard, if nothing else, because it's a micro cap, and I do not want to be perceived as someone that pumps a micro cap and then sells it after my community buys it. Like that's why I still own it.
The T-shirt you're wearing right now is a micro cap essentially. AMC Theaters, $400 million valuation.
Is it? Is it a micro cap now?
I mean,
it wasn't when I bought.
It kind
when I
of
sold
seems
it.
like it, but AMC is actually coming back. This is a past 5-day chart with them.
What is it up today? Nice.
Yeah, I mean it's up. But
Hey,
by the way,
man.
everybody
this is
be
6 months.
patient. We're going to talk about NGA. We're going to talk about CCIV. We're going to talk about all the big trades that we're in. I promise you we'll get to all of them. But Dave, how about, you know what a stock I found in my portfolio today that I was looking for stuff to trim in advance of the margin call that I knew was coming?
Yeah.
And I was like, what? This thing is up huge. Build-A-Bear, man. And Build-A-Bear was up again today.
See, I
What on
didn't buy
earth?
Build-A-Bear. I don't buy every
Build-A-Bear-
crazy stock you do.
It was another one of those that was so small. I was like, once I bought it, I felt I had to hold it a while because, like, again, I didn't want to be seen as like someone that would like pump and dump a small stock. So literally, I just like I'm just gonna forget it. If I lose all my money in it, I lose it. I don't care. I'm just gonna hold it for a few months, right? The thing is like double, dude. It's like it's nuts. It's up to 6.5. It's up again today. Okay, let's just say what happened this morning, guys. I was expecting and mentally prepared for like a $1.3 million down day, $1.4 million down day. I woke up and Lynn called me and he was like, so you're enjoying the market? And I had already saw that it was down pre-market, but not this much, right?
Yeah.
And I looked at my account, dude. Oh my God, it was down $4.6 million or $4.5 million. And I almost, like, you know, you mentally, like, we're prepared for this. Like, we're not, we've been preparing for this forever. But that was kind of more than I was prepared for by a little bit. But it
How did it
caught me
feel,
off
dude,
guard.
to see that much money just disappear out of your account overnight?
So I want to talk about what the reaction is, and I want to say two words that I think frame today's episode. Okay, this whole episode, if you can boil it down to one thing, it's about two words that we haven't heard a lot since the 99-2000 era that we lived through as traders. Remember the words I used to use? Irrational exuberance. Remember that was like the coin. That was every day on CNBC in 99-2000.
Yeah.
Irrational exuberance. Well, they don't use those words today as much. But what's happening the last few months, the best way to coin it is irrational exuberance, okay? So today, I think, is the first major knockdown. It's not an elimination, just a knockdown of the irrational exuberance level. And I think that's going to be a process. It doesn't happen, it's not gonna happen overnight like it did in 99-2000. I think it's a process this time around of like slowly knocking down the irrational exuberance. And you know what that means, guys? It means that we're slowly getting smarter. Meaning all these newbie investors, all the new investors, all the new gen investors are going
Who've only seen the market go up. They've literally the entire time they've been trading, it's just been on a rocket ship to the moon with extra emojis.
And we hate it, right? Like we've made a lot of money. We made crazy money because, and this is the other big takeaway. Like I'm just gonna say it right now. What are we doing? We'll talk about exactly what we're doing.
I bought 4 stocks this morning.
Oh, that's more than I'm doing. But I think what's really important is these. All right, when the market was nuts, when it was you have to. In my world, I can't be that far away from where the market is, right? So if the market is being irrationally exuberant, I am going to be a little bit irrationally exuberant. Jordan, I've been having a lot of these conversations with you, right? Like don't outsmart the market too much, because if the market is ridiculous for 3 years and you're not ridiculous, you're missing out on the ridiculousness. So my mentality this morning is, okay, this move, it was triggered by a bunch of different things. CCIV was one of those things. Tesla, another one of those things. There's finally, it just triggered, right? We are now reframing the new market with a little bit less irrational exuberance, right? And because of that, we need to think differently. You know what that means? Maybe I am not 100% margined anymore. Maybe I go back to being 60% margined. 60,
Yes,
70%.
the conservative 60%.
I'm just saying, for me, you know why? Because I don't believe the irrational exuberance is over. I'm just believing that we're now going to start to see a normalization of rational exuberance. It's going to come down to more normalized levels over time. So maybe over time I will get back to no margin or little margin. Probably not no margin ever, right? But maybe I'm not at 100%. And so what I did this morning was I knocked my margin down by a few $1,000,000. And now I think I'm borrowing 17 million instead of 23 or 24 or whatever it was. So and I'll continue to go through my portfolio and say, which of these stocks are the irrational exuberance stocks? Which of these stocks are we only in and in heavy because people are out of their freaking minds?
That was the whole reason we were in CCIV, right?
Yeah.
Like Lucid, we bought it when we didn't even know for sure if CCIV was going to be their ticker symbol, right? We didn't know for sure that was happening. It happened. Yeah. And it was that was the announcement that finally popped the bubble on that one. It dropped it down a little bit. I still have no idea what the fair value for that stock is or where it should be priced. But I sold it yesterday too.
But Dave, we sold it because when we got into CCIV, if you watch that episode, it was in the mid-teens, I think, was when I first got in it. It seemed like such an obvious social arb play. What we talked about is how difficult it was going to be for people to disprove the CCIV thesis this year. And what happened was everybody joined on the CCIV bandwagon. Dave, I can't remember the last time, maybe Tesla, that I saw a stock that the information and the saturation of belief in the narrative spread as quickly and as wildly as CCIV. I thought it would take 6 to 9 months for it to spread that to the extent that it did. So what happened was when the whole world, when everybody on my Twitter feed and everybody on Discord and everyone is so hyped on the full narrative of CCIV, I had to ask myself this week, if this deal gets announced, which is kind of like the last step of like, there's still probably some people that aren't 100% sure, but this weekend when news came out, said it's going to get announced on Tuesday, I thought this week and I said, is there any short-term social arb left in CCIV? And I was like, no, there's not. And so I was like, should I sell it now or should I wait till the announcement? And I transferred my shares, as you know, yesterday morning. I transferred all my shares into the foundation because I was preparing for the announcement. And when the announcement hit, I was still like, well, I didn't know if it was going to pop or not. So I was watching it, and it started to pop. It went up like a few bucks. I was like, wow, it's popping here. I'm not going to sell yet. The second it started to turn and reverse, I was like, okay, listen, I had already decided. I was mentally prepared. I had already decided that this social arb, the short-term social arb story was kind of coming to an end, especially with the announcement. Now it's starting to reverse. I'm watching it. I'm like, what's the risk reward? I got out of 2/3 of it. I got out of more of it later on in the after hours yesterday. And the reason why I kept a little bit is I still believe there's a long-term social arb story in CCIV. I don't believe in it enough. But you didn't want to be in it.
The amount that you were, that was a large position in your already giant portfolio. So to me, that made sense. And I actually started with a sell order for like 9/10 of what I had, and then went ahead and just sold it all.
You sold it last night?
I sold it last night, and I sold it at a price that was 10 points worse than what Chris sold his for.
So I'll tell you about what I did. I was at like 1 o'clock, 1:30 in the afternoon. I went to get new tires for my wife's car.
Wait, Friday. Jordan, this is on Friday.
This is on Friday, yes. So I went to get new tires for my wife's car. And, I was just standing around because I was standing in the parking lot to be distant from everybody. So I'm just standing around, looking around, talking to people. And like I look at my phone, I see it plummet. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? So I pull up StockTwits. And like there's just messages flying across. And I see 3 or 4 messages that said, no deal. CNBC says no deal. Like, hey, this is on CNBC. There's no deal. And so I'm like,
and then 1 hour later,
so I just sold it at like $55.50 on Friday. Felt like an idiot. Yeah. Was about almost bought some more on Monday at like $60 just to get back in, but I didn't. So.
I think I sold mine at 48, and I think you sold most of yours at what, like 58. Chris?
Yeah, but upper 50s. Jordan called me on Friday and was like, "Dude, what's going on? I just sold all my CCIV." I'm like, it's definitely what do you call it? My God, I'm losing my mind. For stop losses, man, it's a raid. It's a stop loss raid, right? I was like, dude,
that's what it was. And I got totally hosed. I didn't even have a stop loss, but I got hosed by it I got misinformation because I wasn't at home. I was like, just.
But it all
within
worked
an
out.
hour, there was one headline that said the deal is off, and then 1 hour later the deal is on, and then nobody knows anything, and so
I have
at that point, so I didn't really care. I was like, yeah.
So you guys are completely out. I have like 130 grand of CCIV compared to the 800,000 that I had sold. So I was like 900,000 that I'd sold. So I'm very happy. By the way, I want to say something real quick, because I have meetings pretty much all day. So I'm going to say it right now. I know, Mom, you're probably watching like you do every day. Do not call me all freaking out that I lost all this money. I'm down $2.5 million right now. It's fine. You know how much money I've made this year. It's totally fine. My mom will call me after an episode like this and freaked out about me going broke. Stop it. Don't do it. I don't want that phone call today. I'll call you later tonight. I can't deal with that. Okay, I'm fine.
Anytime the thumbnail is red, you get a phone call.
Yeah, well, no, when I talk about it on the show, because I'm like, it's fine. It's fine.
All right, so back to CCIV, I will probably rebuy into it. Maybe in a couple days. I still like the company.
I still like the company too. It's just everybody loves everybody fell in love with the company. So if the whole world is in love with the company, I'm going to assume all that's priced in, and which it kind of was priced in at that point, right? So, listen, is there a small chance that CCIV can become something that kind of somewhat resembles a Tesla 5 to 10 years from now? Maybe. And if they do, is it a company that trades in the hundreds of billions of dollars? Maybe. And so, like, I get the tiny bit, but there's so many better things for my money right now than CCIV. By the way, you know what I love? You know what I didn't sell? CCIV at 50 billion or 40 or 50 or 60 or 70, whatever it is, selling high-end EVs, like luxury EVs. I love commercial EV companies that are valued at 4 billion that are making tons of money, that are generating revenue, that have more orders than they can deliver for the next year and a half, 2 years, that have all the world's government on their sides, that has all of humanity on their sides, that we basically know it's just a matter of time before every commercial truck in the world.
Chris, it is so funny to me that these consumer car plays are going insane like this, where traditional, like these traditional car companies sell at 7/10 of their annual sales. Like, who cares, right? Like, I like the commercial deals way better.
In the EV space, I'm putting my money on the commercial deals. Listen, I have not sold any NGA. I have not sold any of my GIC. I have not sold any of those companies, and now I'm actually in a loss position, I think, on NGA. I think I'm down even from where I bought my NGA.
And I'm down in GIC.
Yep. I might listen, if I have to sell a little bit because I'm getting margin called, I'm not against selling a little bit, but I haven't yet. I haven't sold those. Listen, I still think that narrative is together. People keep asking me, like, what do you do in NGA? I'm like, guys, my narrative hasn't changed. My social arb trade hasn't changed. I have no idea how the market's going to value these companies. My only thought is the long-term narrative is intact. Would I like to own them cheaper? Yes. If the SPAC euphoria hadn't happened, they would have been even cheaper when I started investing in them. I would have got in them at 10 or 11 versus 14 or 15 or wherever I got in them at, right? But, dude, like, I have no issues being in those companies still. By the way, the companies I love right now, part of my rebound trade, are mostly doing really well. You know, one of my biggest positions, you know what it is? Spirit Airlines.
Yep.
That's killing it.
It's one of my biggest positions too.
Man, the most up position that I've got today is Southwest Airlines.
Yeah, man. I want to talk about another stock. I got to talk about this, Peloton.
So, and do look at what is up right now. It's Wynn, it's Marriott, it's Las Vegas Sands, it's Spirit. Those are the ones that are up, and they're not up huge, but
No.
to be up in today's market, that's pretty interesting.
Guys, Peloton dropped to like 110 today. Okay, it's already back up to 122 or something like that. Like
It is
Peloton,
on my list of things that I might want to buy a little bit of.
Oh my God, Dave! When it was down at 110, I swear to you, if I wasn't down $4.6 million at that moment, I was so tempted to buy
Double
more
down.
Peloton. So tempted, dude. Here's the thing: there are a lot of stocks in my portfolio that, because I've been so scatterbrained trying to chase opportunity in an irrational, exuberant market, we are getting involved in the NFT space, guys. We're going to have episodes on that coming up. We thought we would do one today, but we had a little issue transacting. We wanted to be able to announce something in the NFT space before we have that episode. So that announcement is coming. That episode is coming. But we're studying so many new sectors, guys. I'm going so deep on the metal sector, right? The EV metal sector and the mining sector. I'm going so deep on NFT. A lot of these are private investments too that we're researching. That I just haven't had time. Like someone said, Crocs. I haven't had time to spend an hour and a half on Crocs research to say, hey, what's going on with Crocs right now? Should I really have $1 million in Crocs still? Should I really have this big of a position in XYZ? I have a lot of work to do now that the irrational exuberance is kind of flattening out, to figure out, okay, we need to be a little more careful, a little more prudent in where we place our money. But let me say one thing. I tweeted this morning. Losing money has never in my life felt so right as it feels today. I feel so healthy right now that this market collapsed, that a lot of the hot air was out of some of these ridiculous valuations. Like, it feels so good to have people thinking just slightly more rationally about investments in the market. Because you know what? As social arb investors, we win when we're able to identify change early, and that change actually ultimately correlates to a movement in a stock, right? We don't win when all the change are people on web boards deciding what biotech they're going to pump that morning. Like, that's not what I enjoy doing. What I enjoy doing is identifying cultural shifts, identifying behavioral shifts in consumers, identifying technology shifts a little bit early, a day early, a month early, a week early, and then connecting the dots and making those trades. That's what I've been doing for 15 years. That's why we started this channel. That's why everybody on dumbmoney.tv, our Discord, that's how you get to our Discord, dumbmoney.tv will send you to our Discord ultimately if you look at the link there. That's what all of our Discord community does. We actually are prudent social arb investors. So we win when the market becomes rational, right? When the market's irrational and super volatile, that's not a comfortable place for a prudent, pragmatic, social arb investor to live in and trade in. So I actually love that the market is normalizing
Kind
a
of
bit
coming
right now.
back to a little bit closer to being normal and not everything just picking a stock with a dartboard and a Reddit thread to see which one got the most comments and let's buy that one. Let me tell you what stocks I bought, because I basically am using this dip to buy the dip, right? I want to rebalance some of the things that I had previously sold and kind of regretted I wanted to get back into. So I bought 4 things, and what I need to do now is figure out what I want to trim to rebalance my portfolio so that I'm not as big into margin. So here's what I bought. And I think you'll agree with all of these things that I should have not sold earlier, but now that it's down, I took this opportunity to buy. Let's start with, I bought Roku today. Roku, one of my favorite companies. Look at that drop, right? Yeah. And look at that longer term chart. Roku's a company that I love, and it's down right now. For the day, it's down 2%, 8 points. To me, 409 is a great buying opportunity when it's been up as high as like 480. I also bought, let's see, I bought Shopify because I had previously sold it. And that's a company that I want to be in long term. These are not your typical trying to place some kind of information or trying to have any sort of social arb. These are just companies that I like for
But
the
there
long
is
term.
social arb in Shopify, Dave, because I mean, it's. I think the social arb in Shopify is that yes, we all know that e-commerce is a big deal, but I don't think people really respect the fact that it is the only deal in 5 years, right? Like it's becomes everything. Not that there won't be brick and mortar stores, but it is central to everything we do, and you just can't place a high enough value on something like Shopify. It's only going to have better and better years as we move forward. So there is a little bit of social arb there.
And along the same lines, I bought Square. Stock that I have had in the past, was not in my portfolio. Today seemed like the day that I should pick some up. And then what was my last one? Let me pull up my trades here. Because I had several that I was considering. Oh, I bought Twilio.
Interesting.
Oh, all right. Yeah, that's another one you were left
It's another
out
one
of.
that I've loved, and I, for whatever reason, I sold it trying, basically I think I sold these trying to make room in my portfolio for other things that I needed because it was a shorter term social arb play, and I don't like to be 100% in margin the way Chris does. I prefer to be 10% in margin. But I do want to sell some things, and so I don't really know what to sell because I really like all the stocks that I'm in right now.
Just keep that margin up.
You know what I sold? I sold a lot of. I sold almost all of my TAN, the solar ETF.
Did you?
Today.
Sold it
I
down
wish I
at
would have.
90-something bucks.
I wish I would have sold it a few days ago.
Yeah.
I've just made so much money in that. I felt like I wanted to be a little bit more strategic in my green investments than just being in tan. It's been one of my biggest gainers the past 6 months. It was my top Biden play when we called the Biden presidency well before it happened. That was really one of my top Biden trades, and I always knew I would exit it post-election because it got overheated, and it did get overheated. I don't think there's a lot of social arb left in tan. I think there will be selective winners. If I could do the work and figure out what the selective winners are in the space, I'd rather pick a couple of those than to be in broadly in tan at this point, when everyone already knows the impact that the Biden administration is having on that. So I sold a little late.
That's an interesting
Jordan,
one.
it was partially a tax issue, right? Like it's very difficult to take the gains in a stock like TAN and an ETF like TAN,
Yeah.
and just take that tax hit because I had put so much into the foundation already this year. I just couldn't keep putting everything in the foundation, so I had to just take the tax hit on that one. So that's
I'll
done.
look at that.
I have not sold a thing today or bought a thing, but I did look. I looked real hard. I almost bought Enphase.
Oh, really?
They make power inverters.
Yeah.
I think I
own them.
I think I know about them from Kevin. You said you own them?
I think I do. Yeah. What's ticker?
They hit 150 today. ENPH. But they're very profitable. They've just had a heck of a run this year.
No, I haven't.
But they're down. I mean, they hit like 220, and they hit 150 this morning. At which point I almost bought them. I don't know. I don't know if this route is over yet, so I'm gonna wait a day, see what happens. Might pick some up tomorrow.
So I want to talk about Peloton. This Peloton has been my largest position, more or less, for the past year. Everyone knows that. Peloton has gotten crushed here. Big reason why my portfolio is crushed is Peloton. I spent a lot of time on Peloton yesterday. It's one of the stocks I said, okay, now that it's getting crushed, I need to take a deep look. Am I missing anything? I feel about as good about Peloton right now than I've ever felt. I have no concerns. I'm not selling one share of Peloton. I almost wanted to buy more when it fell this morning, when I saw how low it was at the 110. I say low, it's still very high in my eyes. I still think of Peloton as a $20-something stock. That, man, if that thing would get into the 70s or 80s. I think the rationale here is the market has turned very negative on Peloton. And so as a social arb investor, regardless of what it's trading for, price always reflects what the market thinks about a particular company. And everyone has turned sour on Peloton right now. They're nervous about the end of the pandemic, about the rebound trade.
Peloton has been one of the biggest beneficiaries of COVID. Now that I think officially, I told you this, Dave, yesterday, COVID's done as of yesterday, right? That's how everyone's thinking about it from a forward-looking standpoint. Everyone now believes. I was at the mall this weekend, guys. I haven't been in a store in a year. I'm finally vaccinated. We went to the mall. We had to get shoes for our kids. They went back to school for the first time in a year yesterday. They're in-person school. They're loving it. The mall, I couldn't find a parking space at North Park. There were people, like during the holiday season, when people park on the curbs.
And the grass, yeah.
They were doing that this weekend in Dallas, Texas, at one of our largest malls. They ran out of parking spots. If that's not a sign, I don't know what is a sign. By the way, that's probably why Build-A-Bear is up again today. But I really feel good, better than I've ever felt about the rebound trade. One of my largest positions, Spirit Air. I'm going to Disney World in a couple weeks with my family.
Or maybe that's just what this part of the world looks like, and you just haven't been out of your house or haven't driven by the
No,
mall
I've been
in a
keeping
while.
tabs, Dave. Me and my restaurant even, I'm keeping tabs on the flow, but we really knocked it out of the park this weekend. There was something about this last weekend, and it probably was compounded by the bad weather that turned
We had a giant winter storm, and everyone was locked in their house even more than usual, and the weather was beautiful this weekend. It got up to like 75. We went from -4 to 75 within a week.
Yeah, no, totally.
So Peloton is on my shopping list. It is one that I've regretted not being in, but I haven't pulled the trigger on that. A couple other of the pandemic and what are the kind of longer term implications of people's attitudes shifting. I like Teladoc, which is down 7% right now. But long term, have you used Teladoc? It's like built into my insurance, and instead of going to a doctor for like just a random like skin rash or whatever, you basically can do it on your phone. It was a great experience. It was free because it's tied in. They have a deal with whoever the insurance, and I just think that is the future of simple doctor visits. You'll still go for your annual checkup with your normal doctor, but there's no reason to ever even go to a doc in the box kind of thing.
Yeah, anything that you can visually diagnose, low risk type issues. Yeah, I agree with you. I think why would you want to go sit in a waiting room and be around other people breathing now that you are self-conscious about that all the time?
It was such a good experience too. Megan, when we were traveling, she used it and needed some like eardrops, and I've used it, and every single time it's like quick, it's effective, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Dave, I sold my Teladoc, and I'll tell you why. I temporarily sold it because I feel like it's going to be part of this downdraft as we come out of the pandemic over the next month. It has nothing to do with the company itself. There's a few stocks that I feel like I might want to own them long term, but I'd always planned on potentially lightening up on them as we kind of come out and the recovery trade takes hold and people are eyeballing things that are more exciting as part of the recovery trade. Yeah. I think people are going to be less interested in Teladoc during this period. So I sold my Teladoc.
And that's why I'm watching it. It's on my watch list because it's one of those that you expect to go down just from the sentiment of, oh, everything's opening up. We don't need our recovery stock or our lockup stocks anymore. But Teladoc is one of those that I think will be a long-term winner. Zoom, probably also.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, I could see myself, believe it or not, going in deeper on Peloton if I get more visibility on traction, social data, and all the various data points that our community collects on Peloton all the time. We actually
I think they need to get their manufacturing firing on all cylinders, though. That's the biggest.
Not for me, Jordan, because I'll tell you what, that's going to happen, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not concerned about that. That's going to happen. The unknown here, the social arb opportunity on Peloton is if people do not let up on customer demand as we come out of get into the recovery. What everyone's worried about is once we get into June, July, summertime, you have good weather. Nobody needs a stationary bike at your house. We are now out of the pandemic, mostly, okay? That's the time that this is the nightmare that every Peloton investor like myself has been having all year, right? That's the time when we're like, are we gonna see a completely falling apart of the demand curve for Peloton bikes? So if that does not happen, I would assume Peloton will be under pressure for the next couple months. That's an assumption I'm making. If that does not happen, that's when I go in deeper on Peloton. That's when I might actually start to layer on Peloton call options on top of my position if I see demand sustaining as we get into spring, which is, I think this is, if there was a perfect storm of bad events for Peloton, it's the next 120 days for consumer demand, right? If they can make it through the next 120 days, whoa, game over, right? At that point, game over. Because then you're looking at a new product cycle. There's going to be rumors coming out about their upper body fitness machine. Whenever it probably won't be out this year, but probably rumors will be out this year of what that's going to be. The production in Jordan, as you're saying, is going to come online. The actual numbers are going to go through the roof, right? In terms of their margins, because they're finally starting to scale up. I think it's really an interesting generational story, and I think when you're in a generational stock like Peloton, what you want to see, it's painful, but what you want to see is you want to see the stock come down. Why do you want to see the stock? If you really believe that it's a generational stock, if you really believe that connected fitness is something that is going to take over the world over the next 2 decades, if you really believe that, and you believe that Peloton is the company, you want nothing more than for that stock to get cut in half. Why? Because it then gives you an opportunity to actually add to your position for the long term. Because you have such conviction that over the long term, this is an Apple, this is an Amazon, this is a Shopify, this is a Lulu, okay? If you feel that that's what this is, then you embrace the fall, right? You want it. You live for the fall. So like, I almost hope that Peloton stays down at these levels for the next few months, so I can just watch the data really closely. And when we get confidence that they're going to make it through this scary time, that's when I pound in with some additional Peloton leverage going into the summer, right? That's my hope as a Peloton investor. Am I crazy?
No, but if it cuts in half from this point, you will probably be feeling the pain because it's your largest position.
Well, let's say it topped out at 180. So if it cuts in half, that's $90 a share, right?
I can live with 90. You would have to sell. You'd live with 90?
I can live with a $90 Peloton.
With 65.
I don't want to live with 65, but I can live with a $90 Peloton, which is a 50% haircut from its high, and gives me the ability to sell some other stuff and scrap together some additional funds to pound into it going into the summer. I mean, you know how many institutional eyeballs are going to be on Peloton if it stays at these levels and makes it through this period? Do you know how hard it is for an institution to find a company that they could invest billions of dollars in, that they know is the type of stock that is going to grow for decades and potentially become a generational stock like Apple, like all the stocks we're talking about? It's very difficult. They don't come around every single day, guys. Everyone knows that connected fitness is one of those sectors that has the ability to, actually merge SaaS, right, with a completely separate industry category, which is what Peloton has done.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, people are talking about Beachbody being a competitor. There's been some really good dialogue in the Peloton channel of our Discord community. By the way, dumbmoney.tv, you'll find the Discord, about Beachbody, okay? Beachbody, for those of you that don't know, and I am invested in Beachbody, full disclosure, I did buy some of that SPAC as part of my irrational exuberance trade. I might actually decide to sell it. That's one of the ones I need to look at right now. I'm sure it's getting
an MLM, right, Chris?
What? Yeah, it's kind of, well, they do have an MLM component to Beachbody. Yes. Yes.
I will never invest in an MLM ever again. Ever.
I don't blame you, dude. I don't blame you. But here's the thing. There's some great dialogue, pro and con, for Beachbody in our Discord community. And the pro dialogue is, hey, a lot of people have actually used it. They actually have a pretty powerful network in terms of the ability for trainers who are highly incentivized to push things on their little mini communities that they manage, all right? Also, they sell everything, unlike Peloton. So where Peloton is organically adding things slowly over time like Apple would, Beachbody is they sell shakes and vitamin supplements, and like they have everything under the world that they can push. So what that means is that if you give a company like Beachbody $350 million to market with, and you give them the incentive to just kill, in the short term, they might be able to really juice their revenue. And that's why I invested.
On the debt and backs of all of the people that think that they have a startup business. I can't be a part of it.
Jordan, listen, I'm not saying that I don't think they're a tobacco company, but yeah, I mean they do have an MLM component. I agree, but from what I understand, they're not managed as like a traditional MLM. It's not all MLM with Beachbody. They do have a really nice fitness stint. They are merging with a bike company now. They do have a reasonably good bike. I've read all the reviews on it. It is not magnetic like Peloton. It's a friction bike. It's $1,200. They can barely. What?
It's Chris
at the top of the pyramid.
No, I'm probably going to sell my Beachbody today or tomorrow. Like this is an irrational, exuberant stock that I bought at a different point in time a week ago when the market looked very different. All I'm saying is you can't just knock Beachbody and assume that they're not going to have any impact on this market. There's a place for them this year in this market. They have a CEO who's very well regarded, Jordan. He's the guy he came from Disney. He was a rock star at Disney. He took over as CEO of TikTok. By his own decision, he left TikTok when the whole Trump thing went down. He got really frustrated with the moves they were making there. Left TikTok as CEO of TikTok. He is a force to be dealt with. This guy is smart. He knows what he's doing.
I'm sure they've got their, Peloton knockoff that they're gonna, go and market. They'll make money, I guess.
Remember P90X?
Acquisition company
remember P90X? That was Beachbody. P90X was ridiculously well marketed, okay? If they can figure out how to have another P90X type of movement, now that they have the money and they have the momentum of this SPAC and great management, I'm just saying, don't write them off. I always said
I'm not going to write them off, Chris. I'm just not going to invest in them. They might do
fine.
Well. I'm just not going to be a part of that story because I don't.
I hate MLMs too. I can't stand MLM. And who knows how they restructure the MLM going forward with new management. But I will say this, if you believe in connected fitness, and I do believe in connected fitness, I do believe that there will not be one player. I don't think Peloton is going to have any more than, let's say, top 70% of the market 10 years from now. I'm not saying who the number 2, 3, and 4 players are, but I do think there will be number 2, 3, and 4 players that will have opportunities in this space if you believe in connected fitness.
Pretty big, right? Apple's going to do their part to do what they can do. There's already other players. We don't need.
Jordan, they're a major player. They do over $100 million in revenue right now. Okay, they're no joke. They have a massive network, and whether we like it or not, MLMs, when they're managed correctly. And by the way, a lot of these MLMs, as you know, Jordan. So let me just say this, Jordan. Here's how they're positioned as an MLM. From what I understand, people that are in the program and they're purchasing shakes from their trainers and stuff like that, they pretty much know that that's how they're compensating their trainer. Like they know that they're not getting a $100 crate of whey protein. They can buy it for $60 someplace else. But it's part of the relationship. It's kind of like how they comp their trainer, how they comp their instructor, right? So it's like, that is, in the MLM game, when you actually have people that are providing value, right? There's worse MLMs. That's all I'm saying. They've been around a long time.
Highly successful.
Yeah.
I just don't want any part of it. It's not what I do. If other people want to do it, great. Like I'm not going to judge.
That's fine.
Get in.
I get it.
All right, Chris. So go ahead and give us your promo code to sign people up for your Beachbody experience.
I'm a Peloton fanboy. I am not a Beachbody fanboy. I have to look at the. By the way, on a negative, let's talk about the negatives for Beachbody. Production and logistics, guys. if you don't appreciate Peloton logistics and manufacturing at this point, then I don't even know what to say. They have spent the last 18 months making some of the boldest moves I've ever seen, including buying one of the world's largest fitness equipment manufacturers. They now own their own manufacturing. They are building out infrastructure unlike I've ever seen. They're basically modeling themselves after Apple, right? In terms of being able to produce hardware. So even if Beachbody became the most successful bike company in the world, like running side by side with Peloton, they're not going to be able to even supply 1% of what Peloton supplies in terms of hardware, all right? And repairing that hardware and all that stuff. So, dude, I'm all Peloton, all right? I'm just saying, like, we should know what the competition looks like and not be surprised by it.
I agree with you. If there is a big pullback on Peloton, I will up my stake.
Yeah. So, all right, what else, guys? You know what?
What is the ticker for that Beachbody SPAC?
The Beachbody SPAC. It starts with an F, I think.
Is it Forest Road? FRX?
Yes, I think so.
It sounds right.
Someone in the comments had that. I didn't want to pull that up until I was sure. But yeah.
So, what I want to get back to, if the market continues along this road of reducing the irrational exuberance, no more pump and dump stocks, no more of this ridiculous pie in the sky. We don't care what a company's valued at. The more people that talk about it, we're just going to throw money in it. If we can get away from that, guys, I'm going to start to go in deeper on our traditional social arb trades, right? All the ones that we have been talking about. So, in fact, I'm sitting here right now actually trading more of them as we speak. Hold on, let me, I'll tell you what I'm buying here in a minute. Every time I buy stuff on the show and I announce it, like people start, I hate that. Like, then I'm competing. This is my trade. I'm making a trade. After I make it, I'll let you know what I did. But like, I'm good. I'm getting more into the stocks that we've been talking about.
Wait, what are you buying right now?
Well, none of your business. No. I'll tell you when I'm done.
You said you. Okay, I don't know.
I'll tell you what. No, I'm kidding. It's nothing that you don't know about. I've been slowly adding more. I bought some more tap. I bought some more Molson Coors. Okay. And so, like, Dave's sitting here talking about the stuff that he's adding. What do I want to add? I want to add more stuff that I believe is really well positioned here, coming out of the recovery, going into the recovery trade, but also having a strong social arb element to it. Molson Coors is a company that I really believe has potential, but I haven't seen it yet. We've talked about this. We have not yet seen the narrative unfold. There's a possibility of a huge social arb trade in Molson Coors, but we haven't seen how successful is ZOA, is the Rock's energy drink. How
successful is the Topo Chico
It's not out yet, so we can't make that decision.
And it's not out. It was supposed to come out. I thought it was February. Is it March?
It is, Jordan. I am not. It's March. I'm not gonna go all in on these trades until I have real data and I can actually confirm that they are as big as I think they're going to be. Right? I'm going to hold it at medium conviction for now, maybe medium to high, like right in the middle. And if I start to see any data that shows me that these things are truly flying off the shelves like I think they will, I'm going to see early reviews, like how many people are obsessed with these products, right? Like all that stuff on Twitter.
Not even that. We just said, I feel comfortable holding TAP 5+ years. Paladin Sherpa said that. I love stocks like that. I don't like to sell stuff all the time. I like to just hold on and let it grow. I don't want to pay those taxes. I just want to hold on.
Listen, man, I'm with you. There has to be a strong thesis.
Yeah,
and I think there's a potential strong thesis here. I just want to see it play out.
With Coke. They are with Coke, but Molson Coors is apparently doing this malt beverage or this hard seltzer for
the hard topo.
Right.
Yes, correct.
I don't know what the red split is for, like, I'm sure Coke is going to get some royalties or which way that.
Of course they do. It's their
goes.
Topo Chico. Yeah, of course they will.
Both, but I will tell you, Coca-Cola has a lot less to gain from Topo Chico hard seltzer than Molson Coors.
Yeah, that's an understatement.
Yeah.
So my Leslie's has come down quite a bit, and it was up, and then it came back to it went up to 26. Now it's on 23. Right? Well, I haven't sold any of my Leslie's. I'm just in it, so I'm sticking with the Leslie's trade. I got out of that Pentair trade, Dave, from the other day, but I'm in Leslie's.
Did either of you buy Pool, P-O-O-L?
No, I just got in Leslie's, man, off of the social arb research we did. I'm going to stick with Leslie's. So I did sell half of my plug, by the way, guys. I had to open up some cash this morning. I sold half of my plug. Oh, Generac. Any new thoughts on Generac? Is Generac crashing too right now?
It's down a little bit. I wouldn't worry about it.
I'm not selling any of my Generac, and I'll tell you why. Anytime you have a company that's basically selling everything that they're capable of making for the foreseeable future, I'm just going to sit pretty right there. I mean, I know there's downside.
How many people started up conversations with me during this whole apocalypse? They were like, man, I want a generator. Do you know anything about generators? And I was like, actually, I know quite a bit about generators. I'm walking through the whole bit. And so, but yeah, there's a huge interest for it right now. I'm interested. I don't want a generator. I want a big Powerwall. I want a big 10-unit Powerwall in the garage.
But the problem is, Jordan, and there's some good conversation in Discord about this as well, it's just really not feasible. Like, to get a big enough Powerwall for a huge...
To get one day out of the summer, for me, is a 10-unit Powerwall. It's crazy.
Yeah.
How much?
And that's like $80,000-$90,000.
Yeah, well, there's like $20,000 in like federal credits, so it's like a $50,000 outlay.
Okay, let me say,
Jordan, so we never lost electricity during this whole thing, but we did have very low gas pressure for about 6 to 12 hours, right? And so, look, the gas generator would have done zero if our electricity went out at that point in time. But having a battery sitting around with hot, with hot power ready to go would have been way more helpful.
But
Are you
Jordan,
going to do solar on top of that?
I'm not going to mess up my roof, dude. Ugh.
I had
have a back-facing roof or something?
The only way I would do solar is if I got the full Tesla roof that looks awesome.
Yeah.
But, I just got a new roof, so.
Dude, I had gas pressure, and I'm telling you, for most people can get a whole home Generac installed, all in, their entire home, for $18,000. Most people can get a Generac installed that will take care of about half their home for $7,000. Okay.
What I heard is like a 3,000 square foot house you could do for like $11,000, and so
right in that range of like $7,000-$8,000, maybe they got more expensive, $10,000. But what I'm saying is, you can get a generator that takes care of all the stuff that you really need for $5,000, $6,000, $7,000 fully installed.
My only point is that we lost a lot of people lost electricity, but just as many people got their gas lines shut down.
The gas was not shut down for a week.
There were neighborhoods that had gas shut down because of
for a week.
This is all related, Chris. They weren't able to produce electricity because there wasn't enough natural gas coming out of these pipelines.
Yeah.
Because it was all
gas is a big problem in a lot of places.
Anywhere that they could cut, and so they were cutting residential gas. They had low because they had the low gas pressure. That's like a very serious issue. They decided to just cut off certain neighborhoods. So yes.
Okay, so let me tell you what I heard when it came. I'm not saying that they didn't do that at all, but from my information, they were prioritizing residential gas over electric equipment, like commercial gas. And like our neighborhood had full gas. We had full gas through the whole.
Yeah, so maybe you're going to have full gas, maybe not. But what I'm saying is, if you want to be totally sure, at least for a certain amount of time, you could have those batteries that are there to get you through some short-term thing. And
you can have both
solar or gas generator or something. That's the best way to do it.
Of course it is. And by the way, Generac will install a battery for you as well.
Generac doesn't do as many batteries. So like Tesla has a max of 10 or 12, I think, for Generacs. I want to say that they had a max lower than that. I'd have to double check just in my cursory research. I think that they didn't have as much capacity as Tesla did on the Powerwalls.
Do you know what I want to do? I just want to find a hotel that has a backup generator of its own, of whichever method.
Yeah.
And for the price of installing that system, Jordan, you could stay at a $500 per night room for 160 days.
That's a good point, Dave.
Think about that. Why do you need to have your house electricity on when you could go somewhere else?
All of the hotels around us were booked solid through this.
Hey guys, just so you know, I got to cut off in like 3 minutes because I have this school meeting I got to do for my kids. I'm sorry, but listen, all I want to say about Generac.
My backup plan was going to live in my driveway where the van was parked. And we had an extension cord running out to it with a heater to keep it warm, just in case we didn't have enough energy to, whatever.
All I want to say is all the above. They're going to sell a lot of power walls, but that won't have very much impact on Tesla. But there's going to be a ton of Generac business, whether you gas or no gas, a ton of Generac business. It's part of the solution. It's part of the solution. A lot of people want it. I love Generac. I'm not selling any. Guys, listen, I got to head off. But I want to end this way. This is all part of it. We were mentally prepared for this. I've been mentally preparing for this day for months now. It has come. I don't think it's going to be an all or nothing thing. By the way, we have a stimulus potentially being voted on later this week.
Yep.
So we could snap out of this pretty quick. But I do think we need to. I do think now, because of what happened to CCIV and a couple others, I think this new generation of investors are starting to think about, well, how much is too much? When do I need to get out of the investment? Valuations, all the things that we go through as investors. The market is getting a little bit smarter now, and that's actually a really good thing for social arb investors, because we're not about fundamentals. We're not about trying to gauge valuation. We want other people to do that for us. We're just about finding information and early trading, fast trading that information, right? Arbing social data, arbing conversational data, arbing cultural shifts and behavioral shifts and technology shifts. But that only works if the market's being rational. So I love it that the market is rationalizing, because now we can focus on trades where we think we could find information a little bit early. So I want to say, no matter how much you're hurting today, I'm hurting worse, I promise. I'm down over 3 million right now. I just checked, over 3, okay? And I'm not scared. I'm not afraid. Like, I feel great about this. I actually feel this is a healthy thing for the market. Long term, it'll be healthy for us. I hope Peloton drops a little bit more. It's going to be painful. I don't have options. I have equity. I will start to layer in more Peloton if it starts to drop more and stays there the next few months and the data gets better, right? That's all I care about is the data. All I care about is the information. That's it.
Show me the data.
Right? So anyway, let's get back to basics. That's all I want to say. Let's have today be a calling to get back to basics. That said, can't wait for the NFT episode. People are going to be amazed at the insane thing we're about to do.
It's going to be a good episode. Are we going to try to pull that off on Thursday? Is that the plan?
It depends. Dave, I need to get money. I'm having an issue transferring crypto.
Over. Yeah, I know.
So whenever that happens.
So you guys, if you haven't subscribed, this is the perfect time to do it. Turn on the notification bell so that you know when we do this show. We are Dumb Money. We will see you as soon as we do another show. See you then.